When it comes to adding new features in JavaScript, there is a group called TC39. These people collaborate with the community to maintain and evolve JavaScript. New features start as proposals and they need to go through a couple of stages until they become part of JavaScript. Those stages are proposal stage, draft, candidate, and then finished stage. In this video, we're gonna take a look at 7 new features in JavaScript. We're gonna start off with dynamic import. This feature allows us to dynamically import our modules. Unlike before when we were statically importing the modules, now we can do something like this. We have a module here and in our main.js we can load our module on demand. With a simple click of a button we can load our module. As you can see, we get our alert message. BigInt. BigInt is a new primitive in JavaScript and it provides support for integers of arbitrary length. With BigInt, you can safely store and operate on large integers even beyond the safe integer limit for numbers in JavaScript. This will allow you to make very precise calculations. You can create big integers by adding n to the end of the number or by calling the BigInt constructor. This will then create a BigInt type for you. Promise that all settled. This method returns a promise that resolves after all of the given promises have either fulfilled or rejected. This will return an array of objects that each describes the outcome of each promise. If you remember before, we had something similar called promise.all, but using promise.all, if one of the promises got rejected, your whole promise.all would get rejected as well. But with promise.all settled, it will run all the promises and you will get an array of objects with the outcome of the promise. Nullish Coalescing. Nullish Coalescing is a pretty cool feature and this is a new logical operator. This is meant to handle default values. This operator will return the value on the right hand side if the value of the left hand side is null or undefined. Otherwise, it will return the left hand side value. It's very different to the OR logical operator, since using the OR logical operator, in some cases you might experience an unexpected behavior if you consider some falsy values, like for example empty strings or zeros. Let's see an example. We have a variable number and we will assign 0 or 50. Now when we use the OR logical operator, since 0 is considered falsy in JavaScript, we will get 50 as a result. But if we change the OR logical operator to the nullish coalescing, we get 0 as a value. Optional chaining. Optional chaining allows accessing objects' properties without worrying if they exist or not. If you have been using TypeScript, you would have already been familiar with this. Let's take a look at how this works. We have an object with cars here and they have types and models. So let's see what happens if we try to access the price of a car that does not exist. I'm going to try and search for the price of a Hyundai car, and as you can see, in this case we have an error. Cannot read property price of undefined. But with the optional chaining we can add the question mark and this will return a value of undefined instead of throwing up errors. This goes as deep as we would go into the chain. Global this. If you've ever had to use the global object in different JavaScript environments, such as the browser or in Node.js for example, you might have had to do some checking whether to use the window object or the global object in Node or something else. The global this property provides a standard way of accessing the global object itself across different environments. Numeric separators. Large numbers are difficult to read for the human eye, especially when there's a lot of repeating digits. With this new feature we can add underscores to separate the numbers and this won't affect the number. Take a look at 1 billion for example. Without the underscores it's pretty difficult to make out the number at once, but when we add the underscores you can see that it's pretty clear right away that this number is 1 billion. That's all for this one guys, I hope you enjoyed. Post your comments, questions or suggestions down below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.